and to welcome her to our special guest at OC Oils Bring Ayurveda Home Community Meet.
Yes.
And Ami brings deep wisdom and experience and expertise in yoga, in sound bowls, meditation. She runs retreats in the US and international. The next is Jamaica.
Yeah.
Amazing. And we are so happy to have you part of OC Oil community and affiliates. And I'm really glad that we're able to open it up to everyone else.
Same.
Yeah, which is the first time we're doing it. First time we actually opening our monthly discussion to everyone to come in and listen and drop in. And the conversation is going to be about the body, mind, spirit, linked to Ayurveda, but not just Ayurveda. Everything is Ayurveda, in fact. Like any teacher who's a good teacher will teach you. Ayurveda is everything, the body, the mind, and the spirit, the seasons. And I'm so excited. You bring in such an important subject that right now, as we're living in a world that is starting to be very, more than ever, I would say, the intensity that is around and how it affects our well-being.
Yes.
Being in the world, being in this world, but we want to be healthy in this world.
Yes.
So, so tell us a little bit, what are we going to talk about today?
Yes. So thank you, OC, for having me. And thank you to this wonderful community. I'm so happy that, you signed up, you're tuning in to something that I think is quite a broad topic to cover, and something that is really nice to touch on. I think everyone can kind of relate to it, right? And we're talking today about positive self-talk. And first of all, let's talk, what does that even mean, right? What is self-talk? So self-talk is just the way that you speak to yourself. It's kind of like your inner voice, right? And this inner voice stays with you from the time that you wake up in the morning until the time you go to sleep. And it helps you process experiences and make decisions and can even ask you questions. And this inner voice can be supportive, right? It can be motivational, or it can also be negative and can, lower your self-esteem. So to me, positive self-talk it's kind of like being your own cheerleader, right? Like it's a form of self-care. To me, it's actually the ultimate form of self-care, and it's free, right? You just have to work on it. You have to kind of train yourself. It's also a form of cognitive therapy. So it can kind of replace, the more that you work at it, it can start to replace negative thoughts that you have into like more supportive and encouraging statements. In yoga, and when I teach my classes, I often talk about samskaras, and that's a Sanskrit word, right? As you know it, OC, and it's basically patterns or mental impressions that create and sort of stay in the body over time. And so over time, they can shape your physical, your mental, your emotional states. And as they build up in time, if it's, more of a negative slant, it can start to create energy blockages and even create like physical, like joint pain, stiffness in the body. So, it's all connected, right? The body, the mind, the spirit, and definitely the way we speak to ourselves. So I believe that really no amount of breath work or supplements or meditation or yoga or body scans, all of that extraneous stuff is great. But if we don't work on soothing our nervous system, if we don't change our inner dialogue, then all of that will not necessarily like integrate, into the body.
Yeah. And I love how you bring in the connection between the body, mind, spirit into Ayurveda and into even the Sanskrit word samsara.
Yeah.
Is the seed of samsara is really pain and suffering. And if we go back to the Buddha, you would say, well, we know that samsara exists. You can't avoid it. It's innate in where we live. If you exist, if you're alive.
Yep.
And then you take this samskara and you say, well, I can work with this.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. Like observing.
Identifying it first.
Identifying self-observation, which is a lot of what we do in meditation work and, breath work as well. So, and when
one more word that I would throw is the kleshas.
Yes.
And the klesha is sort of like the layers of we are like an onion, and the layers and layers, the more we take off the layers of the kleshas, then we're coming into the core of our being, which is the soul and the self, which is ultimately happy.
Correct. And it's like, how do we get to that essence, right? Is something that maybe we're all looking for or searching for. And so, when we are under constant self-judgment, our nervous system stays in that like survival mode, right? We're in that sympathetic side of the nervous system, and that constant self-criticism can send a message right to the brain and even the body, that there's danger or that there's something to be worrying about. And it can not just be a fleeting thought, it could actually become and evolve into a trigger, right? And when we have triggers in the body, we start to release cortisol. That's the stress hormone that we know, which creates stress, obviously, but it can also create inflammation in the body. Which can lead to, many other issues.
I mean, even fascinating thinking the cortisol can actually create inflammation, and the negativity of the self-thought can create inflammation and disease in the body.
Correct. Yeah. And
the thought about it's fascinating.
It is really, I mean, we know that certain foods can cause inflammation and things like this, but did we ever really think about our thought process and how that can also create inflammation, which can eventually lead to so many, issues, but also even autoimmune disorders, disease. Most disease comes from stress and stress in the body, physically, mentally, again, all those states, all the forms of energetic body and all that kind of stuff. So today I thought, how do we identify how we're speaking to ourselves? How do we identify the way that we are talking to ourselves? So what, something that I like to think about is like, what do you say to yourself when you see yourself in the mirror? When you really see yourself and look in the mirror, do you go straight to the things physically that, you don't enjoy, or you'd like to change, or you'd like to fix? Or even when you see yourself, what is your attitude? Like, how are you reflecting your attitude back to yourself, right? So being aware of just how you're speaking to yourself, I think, is kind of step one in identifying, and then, eventually shifting. But the idea is like,
and I think what you're saying, like identifying what you even saying to yourself. I think some majority of us don't even hear the inner dialogue that's going on in our head and the self-judgment.
Yes. Yeah.
And you saying is like, okay, let's be aware of it first, and then we can actually work with it. Yeah.
Right.
Really.
Then like, can you change then the verbiage, and then can you change that into like a positive or an uplifting tone, right? Because if you can start to catch yourself more and more when that inner voice starts to kind of intone negative thoughts, or like it's leading you down a pessimistic path, can you identify that first? And then can you be aware and then start to recognize that? And for me, something I try to do is like, if I say something to myself, I think like, would I say that out loud to somebody else? Probably not.
Oh, that's nice.
We're so much more harsh with our, we think we can take it. We think we're trying to improve and get better, but to really think about like how we speak in the world is really how you should speak to yourself. But it starts with you, right? So another way that you could maybe start to identify the way you talk to yourself is, you can write down your thoughts. Maybe people journal. That's a way. And also really like, what are you taking in, like in terms of print or media or social media, even your social settings, like who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you in a lot of negative environments, right? That can, of course, then reflect back to you. For example, in India, and this is a very Ayurvedic principle, is that when a woman is pregnant in India, she's really told to not watch scary movies and to, more like read spiritual texts and to be in very calm environments, because all of what she's taking in is being transmitted and transmuted to the baby, like, right, the growing baby. So when possible, even for ourselves, you're not pregnant, you're just living life. Why not try to keep putting yourself in like a positive or a neutral as you can environment? Of course, we all have stresses and triggers, and we work and, we can't just live in a cocoon, but at least, trying that first step.
Yeah, this is very important, putting yourself in an environment that align with who you are or what you want to be, even how you surround yourself with the people who inspire you and you want to be around them. Positive energy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's basic.
Right. And
Wow.
it's super basic, but very often overlooked, I would say.
Beyond. Yeah.
So, how can we then, so once you're starting to identify, you're talking to yourself, how can you shift from perhaps that negative space to a more positive path, right? So, a few sentences, I just wrote them down. So one thing you might say to yourself is like, oh, you try something new and like, oh, I'm not good at this. I'm never going to be able to do this. Perhaps you could flip that, flip the script and say, look, okay, I'm going to try this and I'll give it my best effort, and whatever happens, happens, right? So just sort of easing back a little bit on, especially in new situations. I say, you try something else, like, I'm never going to be able to do that. I'm never going to be able to get on that surfboard, and catch that wave. I'm never going to be able to do it. Maybe instead you could say, oh, well, if I keep trying, if I take small steps, to learn this new skill, maybe I'll get somewhere. So again, these are very basic, basic statements. But again, I think that most of us, we're there a lot, right? Or like even just with the world in general, what's happening when you watch the news, right? Like it can be very heavy. Like, is anything going to change? Nothing's going to get better. But perhaps you could say, well, like in this moment, like I will try to make my world at least the best that it can be. And then, so you start with yourself and then, maybe move forward from there. Or when you think that there's just too much that can go wrong in a situation, I always go back to like, I can only control the controllables. That's really what I can do as an individual. Sometimes it's quite overwhelming, right? When you're in a big group setting or whatever it might be. I think starting with yourself always, and just, working on the things that are in your purview is a nice way to start.
Yeah.
To shift, into the positive slant. So, and just knowing that generally things will pass. Nothing is permanent generally in your life, right? So knowing that even if you are in a stressful situation or you're just in a negative space, you should just acknowledge it kind of and let it pass. And that it will pass, having confidence in that. So.
Yeah, I love when you mentioned, because I used to do this practice of writing every morning 3 pages.
Yep.
And just kind of unloading on the paper everything before the day starts. That used to be my practice. I think it came from Julia Cameron, The Artist Way.
Right. Yes. And
I find it really helpful, because once I let go of what is in my mind and just put it on paper, it clears the space. Because I think what I find is, would you say that we don't even know the conversation that's going on in our mind, and how much, it's not we're judging other people, we're judging ourselves sometimes, and, we critical not to other people, to ourselves. And I think that kindness and compassion is the things that I'm hearing you saying, is like, can I speak to myself a little bit more, in a kinder way? Can I slow down a little bit and have a deep breath in the morning? Like, I know even for me, the morning is so important.
Yes.
And I got up this morning, I'm in a new space. I just moved, and, my head is like spinning. Where's the new yoga? Where's the new studio here?
Right.
Where's the gym here? And I was like, wait a minute, just like slow down.
Right.
Like, let's go back to basic.
Yeah.
And, sometimes even the mind, I find that the mind is a lot of time what comes my mind is food. Like cooking, like let's just cook at home for like 3 days, and it would slow down the mind, because as we speak in Ayurveda, everything is related. The body, the mind, the spirit, the physical body, what you eat and what you put in your body, how it affects your mind. It's a real thing.
For sure.
Some people like depressed, not because they actually have a chemical thing going on. They actually, the food that is in their body is affecting their mood. It's a real thing.
I agree.
Yeah. And it's like in Ayurveda, the doctors, they don't even, they check your pulse to see what's going on in your body. It's not even to check your temperature.
Exactly. It's not here, it's just right here, definitely. Yeah. I mean, right. I mean, we have we all have to work on, regulation of hormones, and sometimes you can do it and sometimes you can't. But some of the hormones that we could have a little bit of effect on, I would say one is cortisol. We talked about it earlier. Cortisol is when we wake, that first of all, we know cortisol is a stress hormone. And so when we wake, cortisol is also produced by the adrenal glands, which sit on top of the kidneys. And cortisol is meant to be in our mornings to help us wake up. It's released in the mornings, right? It's a little bit higher level in the morning to get us out of bed, to get us moving along. So typically it's highest in the morning, and then it is lowest in the evening. But these days, with all of the things going on in the world, the fast pace of life, all of it, like all kinds of media and news and information and places to be, we can have cortisol spikes like all throughout the day, right? And so when we have like stressors or triggers during the day, that cortisol spikes and puts us back into the sympathetic side of the nervous system, like that fight or flight. And basically, like, negative self-talk can also do the same thing. So that's more like an internal. External stressors. We also have internal stressors from negative self-talk.
And the negative self-talk actually affect your cortisol levels.
100%. Yeah.
So who would believe that your thinking can affect actually your hormone secretion? It's just, it's sort of like things that we can learn about, but then now we can link them together and say, well, I'm under a lot of stress, and now my negative thoughts and the thinking pattern affecting my cortisol even more. So what are techniques or things that we can do?
Right. So for that, I mean, when we have this high cortisol, not only is it creating like a spike in stress in the hormonal body, but it can also lead to high, spikes in blood sugar levels, and it can cause belly bloating and weight gain, and it can cascade into so much more into the physical body. And so also in Ayurveda and in yoga, we have, energy centers in the body, right? So the third energy center sits in the belly, in the navel area. It's called Manipura chakra. And when this area is out of balance, or when you have uneven energy in that space, that can affect your digestion. But also in this space sits your personal power and your self-esteem. So, the way that you can start to try to move away from those spikes is to perhaps in the morning, as you said. I think the morning is a crucial time for everyone because it kind of sets the tone of your day. Starting with a daily intention or an affirmation is really, really helpful. When I teach my yoga classes, we usually always start with an intention or an I am statement. And so even if it's something that is not currently happening in your life, like something in the future, like, you want to be more grounded or you want to be more confident, I bring it into the present and say, I am confident, I am grounded, I am calm. So that's another way of self-talk, right? You're basically telling yourself that you are that, and then you can eventually become that, even if you're not there already. Like you kind of have a starting point for that. So that's,
there's some mantras in Kundalini that we say, I am joy, I am love, I am joy, I'm happy, I'm love. And it's
definitely, I mean, and then another just to go back to the hormones. So serotonin is another hormone that we know is a kind of a happy hormone. It can come from sunshine. And it also helps regulate our sleep-wake cycles. That's why there's so much talk about seeing sunlight in the morning, right? To help you balance your circadian rhythms, your sleep cycles. And so sunshine can lift serotonin, but also positive self-talk can also boost serotonin, believe it or not. And it's especially nice in the morning. What the ideal would be be in the sunshine and, give your intention to yourself or your positive affirmation. Just give yourself permission to compliment yourself. Honestly, I just feel that we're becoming harder and harder on ourselves. And I think which is great. There's a lot of data out there for, science and health and science-backed information for health. And it almost feels like we have so much to do to get healthy. But again, this is a very simple way to start. And I really think that it would be nice, if we work on it, we work on ourselves. Start.
Yeah. Yeah. In Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, there's a word abracadabra.
Okay.
In that whatever you're speaking, you're creating.
Okay.
It's a very powerful teaching. The notion is that if you really want to elevate yourself, only you can do it. Yeah, the outside world, we're waiting for the outside to sort of approve of us. Actually, it's really I love what you're saying, because it's really start within you. This is why this conversation is so important. And it's interesting. This is our first conversation as we're opening the community.
Yeah.
And it's the language, is how do we speak to ourselves? So if you elevate yourself, I'm confident, I can do this. I got this.
Totally.
Small steps. I can do it. Small steps. Like this is my language also. It's like, see, small steps.
Yeah.
Only you unpack just this today.
Great.
All we doing? Like,
exactly. Yeah. I mean,
literally, it's like talking to your little self, your inner self, your inner child, and you kind of attending to yourself. And part of it is like very important. Part of it is the self-talk.
Definitely. I mean, I think again, both sexes, but women in general tend to be givers sometimes, and we give so much, and we're a good friend. We'll give you compliments. We will help you through something that you need to, but sometimes we just shy away from doing that for ourselves, right? And why not? Like, it starts with us again. So a way to kind of nurture self-talk, positive self-talk, a few things you can do that I even practice myself. Literally every morning when I'm brushing my teeth in front of the mirror, I say something kind to myself. And it could be something silly or something important or something, just literally whatever bubbles up to me. So it's kind of like that idea again of like giving yourself a little compliment or giving yourself a little boost, being your own cheerleader. And I also like to start the day with an intention. So I go back to that I am statement. And then just like we all, you may or may not have a meditation practice, but if you do, it's hard in the beginning, right? It's hard to sit with yourself and see your thoughts. So it's a practice, right? We just start to observe how you're talking to yourself over time. Maybe just pause, like in the morning, in the middle of the day, in that afternoon slump kind of time. Just like check in with yourself and see, how am I talking to myself? How am I reflecting back to myself? And then in the evening too, like before bed, I think it's really nice to practice Abhyanga or self-massage. It's a really nice way to go back to yourself, like to your physical form, like just acknowledge yourself, your body parts. You can create gratitude there, like maybe three things that happened in the day that you are grateful for. Come back to that. And then even just lighting a candle, right? In Ayurveda, fire is such an important element, right? It can, first of all, illuminate, and it can also burn out, like get rid of things that are not serving us anymore, perhaps. So, and then going back to my OC oils, my favorite. I love the line in general, but the few that I use like really religiously, the belly oil, I love it so much. And it goes right back to that center of our personal power and self-esteem. That is the energy center. So, just a little bit of, not a lot, just a little bit on the fingertips goes a long way around the belly button, even inside the belly button. Very soothing. It's very
good. I take the dropper and I just love the whole dropper, and I put the whole thing in my belly button and then massage it like a dough on my belly.
So nice.
But like as you said, the serotonin, is also in the belly. It's a second brain.
Yeah.
If we have our digestive, if we take care of our digestive, I find it is very grounding to my mind, to my thoughts.
Yes.
When I massage my belly, it's an immediate effect on my mind. And it's interesting because I studied some technique that is a marma point. It comes from India, and it's a little bit more of going into the bone. And as we know, our bones are 84 to 90, some people 20% of our the water, right? It's the bone is and so we actually go in and massage it really deep, like pressing the bones and really strong, and it actually ground your whole being, and it's also move the fluid in the body. And I with just a little bit of the oils, the sood, or and we have different oils for different areas. I also do the feet massage, where I press the bones around my feet and the ankles, especially the ankles, because as women, the reproductive organs are actually around the ankle area. So I work around the reproductive and massage that area of the feet with. You really can use any of the oils. You can use a soot. But that, for me, that's really why I created those products, because I wanted people to take it home. I wanted people to take those oils and do belly massage, do feet massage, work on your hands. This part of it, actually, it is calming the nervous system.
Yeah. And it's just connecting you back to yourself once again. But you can do it anytime. I love it in the evening before bed. Really nice, calm way to, get into quality sleep. And I love particularly also the sensual oils, the feminine and the intimacy oils. Again, just going back to yourself. So, and if anyone here on this call is interested, you can use my code AMI10 to try out any of these oils. Or if you have any questions about them, you can always reach out to me or to OC. But yeah, so these are all, I think we covered a lot of
a lot of great information. If anyone have questions, just jump in. I mean, we feel really lucky. I feel very lucky that we can actually even start the day and having those conversations and bring this wisdom up and discussing those things, because I think as a community, when we bring this is going to change the energy of the day.
100%.
I always say, like, you have good self-talk, you create miracles.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Yeah. And again, this is free. Like, you don't have to buy anything. You don't have to buy this supplement or go to this class. It's just a self-practice. Finding this way to be happy with yourself and bring yourself more to a peaceful place, I would say. And of course, when you have that, you then radiate that out to your people around you. It's that energetic feeling that you can help. So step by step, we work.
Yeah, and we were talking before about the gunas and the relationship of the gunas into the Ayurveda, into the self-talk, which is was interesting, because we have the Sattvic mind, which is it's more about peace, stability, and then we have the Rajasic, which is a lot more fear and restlessness, and then the third one, which is the more of the Kapha energy, which is a little bit more lethargic, and our mind have those three moving around, right? So there one moment we feel this peace, even though maybe you didn't even meditate, you just watched, the rain, and you're staring. Today it's raining here, and I'm like, oh, it's beautiful, it's rain. And then I'm looking at the trees, and I felt like that just for 10 minutes of that came on my nervous system. And then you have that element of Sattvic, peace. And then there's a moment you go outside and you're with people, and there's a little bit more of an action. You're in the city, in the world, and then you feel a little bit of the fire and the restlessness of people around you, and you're just aware of it. Oh, there's a little bit of that going on.
Sure.
And then there's days that I feel more, lethargic. And it's okay. There are days I don't feel like getting up early and jumping out of the bed and going to work out. It's a little bit more, it's a little heavier. So maybe I'll drink ginger tea for the day.
Right.
And that will help me sort of work with lethargic energy. Or maybe I'll bring more fire because I have lethargic energy. That's why I love Ayurveda, to add Ayurveda to all of this, because it's actually taking yoga off the mat.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And like me and you are yoga teachers, we taught hundreds of women and men to, learn the practice and show up on the mat. But can you take all those things that we're teaching and bring it off the mat into the kitchen, into our kids, into our parents, our friends, like taking all of this. And I think that's also part of, living a more balanced life that we all seeking.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, of course, like in the West here, it's very much like yoga itself has become so physical, right? But we know that yoga has all of these limbs, and the idea of moving the physical body is really to be able to get to that state and open the energy, open the body so that you can sit quietly. And so you don't have to meditate, you could meditate, but just to be at peace with yourself, sitting and I think a lot of people are scared sometimes to sit with themselves, and that is a scary thing. But again, just tap on that little inner voice and feel a little softer, a little happier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know none of us really were taught to sit with the pain, to sit with what comes up, to watch our thoughts. And, you sit in this heaviness that comes up. And I remember my Buddhist teacher would say, just sit with it and observe it. You don't have to do anything.
Don't do anything.
Yeah. And right. And then like, there's a second thought that comes up is like, oh, wow, I'm feeling it. And then there's something else shows up, and then it goes deeper and deeper. And then sometimes I have like epiphanies after I sit with this heaviness, with this more adjust energy.
Right.
Because, that's the practice. It's like 10 minutes a day of sitting what comes up. I think it shifts even inner conversations, inner dialogue.
Definitely. And that's why we call it a yoga practice. That's why we call it an Ayurveda practice. You're still working. You're always a student. You're learning, and you'll make mistakes, and no one's going to be on that perfect path all the time.
Yeah.
But just being, again, easy with yourself and knowing that you're going to stumble, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And you just go right back on the path.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
moment to moment.
Moment by moment. That is another.
And is anyone in the part of our affiliates who wants to add anything? I'd love to hear your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open it up.
Open it up.
Or they're already working on their inner voice, so they're not going to talk. Maybe that's it. That's fine. Again, if anyone has any questions on it, we talked about a lot. We covered quite a bit. So please reach out to either of us. Love to expand the conversation and share the conversation. So if you were here today, you learned something, pass it on.
Yeah. Wonderful. And when is the next time you're teaching and you're offering?
I'm in Miami. So I lead classes here. I do sound healing sessions. I do coaching work on all of that, but also working on the next retreat. Perhaps Jamaica, perhaps Italy is another option that I'm looking into. So just, figuring it out. But
both of my favorite places, Jamaica and Italy.
I know, right? Good stuff in both places. Yeah. But yeah.
Beautiful.
So thank you.
Thank you. If you want any of the oils, you can use AMI10 and you get a discount. It's my favorite oil, is the face oil. I use it every morning. I actually put it next to my desk. And for me, also a lot of grounding is just I put it around my hands and I rub my hands and I just smell it. Smell of blues and sandalwood, even that just ground. Like sometimes I have even frankincense that I use in my oils I get as well. And the scent is also really help with grounding. So
you got the glow.
It's the glow.
All right. Well, thank you.
Where do you teach in Miami?
Oh, hi.
Valerie. Yeah.
Hi, Valerie. I am not affiliated with a studio here. I travel quite a bit, so I'm mostly doing privates and small groups here in Miami.
Okay, well, let me know how I can find it, I guess.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Valerie, you in Miami, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So you can connect with me on Instagram is easy. It's Ami Yogini, AMI.
Okay.
YOGINI.
Okay, cool.
Send me a message. Thank you.
Yeah, nice. I can't wait to come to Miami.
Same. We need to hang out.
Is it? Yeah. Someone say, thank you. Merci.
She's tuning in from Paris. That's a friend.
Oh, merci.
Merci bien.
Delian. Nice. Very excited. We have another one next month. I think we have one of the affiliate in Costa Rica doing a workshop. We'll notify everyone for the next one, next talk. And if you have any request of what would you like us to discuss about, because we have 55 affiliates who are masters and super knowledgeable yoga teachers, Ayurveda practitioner, meditators, who are, been dedicating their life to this service. And if there's something, the subject that you're really interested to unfold and learn, send us a message, and one of our affiliate will pick up the subject and we can discuss it. I think those conversations are so important. My whole notion is bringing Ayurveda home and taking all the knowledge and the teaching and bringing it into your own inner life and your outer life, so you're living a life that is more harmonious and balanced. We all need it. We all need it that to be in a place we feel more peace, more grounded, more stability. I know a lot of people around me are struggling with health. And I think that part of health is part of keeping our health healthy, and being healthy is working on the body, working on the mind, working on the spirit. It's great that we have the Western medicine is available, but the daily practice and learning the tools of self-talk and all the practices of Ayurveda can really enrich our life. So, let's open up more of those conversations. Yeah.
Yes, great. And I think they can subscribe to the newsletter as well, so they can, people can keep up with what's going on in the community here.
Yeah, OCOSIOils.com. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you so much.